Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Arthur Cheers. Today's discussion, I will be talking about self ownership. Self ownership is accountability. Self ownership is holding yourself accountable for your own actions and your reactions. It takes the responsibility for what and taking responsibility for what you do, not depending on what other people do. Self ownership also prevents you from playing the blame game. It prevents you from pointing fingers at others and blaming them for your shortcomings. I look at self ownership as you own your life. You take responsibilities for your own life and your own actions. We imply that to athletics, and how we apply that to athletics is uh, athlete athletes, they have decisions that they make. Athletes have progress and performance that they are evaluated on. The same as a coach. A coach have decisions. A coach have progress and performance that he or she is evaluated on. Both athletes and coaches own their own decisions, their own actions and reactions. They both are held accountable for what they do, for the good of the team or the good of the organization. I read a quote from Joe Ehrman a couple of days ago, and the quote said this. I want to read this quote from Joe, and the quote was encouraging self ownership and growth. And the quote said, "You still want to have this childlike faith. You got to stop doing the childish things when you become a man, which is putting all the pettiness away, the comparing and competing with other people." And that's basically saying when you get older, stop doing childish things. You have to take responsibilities for your own actions in order to grow. I also read a passage from Bill Beshwick, and it was talking about taking ownership, and the quote said, "The power of a strong collective team mindset is based on the conviction that every single player can be trusted to carry out his or her responsibility." And what they're saying is, according to Bill and myself as a former athlete and a former coach, saying as a player, you have to take responsibility for yourself, for your team, and as well as to your coach. And as a player, for yourself, taking on responsibilities is, I gotta believe in myself first. I gotta set goals. I gotta prepare myself every day, and I gotta live and act like an athlete. For my team, I have to be encouraging to my team. I have to work hard every day through the good and the bad time. I have to motivate my teammates on and off the court. And to show my coaches and to be able to show my coaches that I'm a team player, I'm gonna be here early. I'm gonna work, I'm gonna come to practice showing you I'm ready to work. I'm gonna be coachable. I'm gonna come to practice every day to get better, to improve. Because at the end of the day, you take responsibility for your actions in order to move forward in life. You can go back in time and look at self ownership. Even in the Bible, it talks about David took ownership of his sins confessing and asking to be cleansed. In Psalms 51, David asked to be cleansed because he had sinned, and he took ownership of his shortcomings, and he was cleansed. I was looking the other day at a Rocky Balboa movie and it was talking about encouraging the encouragement of his son taking the ownership. Well, in that passage, it was in that movie, it was showing how Rocky told his son. His son was so against Rocky being his dad because he was like he was living in his shadow because that was his dad, and Rocky basically told him to quit pointing fingers at other people and take the responsibility on for yourself, and don't blame other people. And in conclusion, I want to sum it up by saying self ownership is a player's responsibility to himself. Self-confidence, self-ownership is a player's responsibility to himself or herself, for the entire team, for the athlete progress and performance, for the coach's progress and performance. It's basically, as a player and as a coach, I have to take on my own responsibility. I have to take on self-ownership and own that I am responsible for my own well-being and my own actions.